Lovelies. Well, here I am for Hump Day with Ann, and got a few things to talk about, a couple of updates, and what I really want to get into is this what Danny Christie was talking about, the voices in his head, but not talking about Danny Christie, talking about how to get control of what they call the chatter monkey. So just wait for if any more people want to join. There's no point talking to myself, is there? So just wait for that and see what happens. Hello, Camel. Hello, Missy Moon. Nice to see you here. How are you, Nikki? Yeah, literally, going to have a couple of updates, well, one update on what's been happening with another channel who have more or less outed as the fraud he is, because he's outed himself more again the other day, which I'll talk about very, very briefly. Then I want to go on to the chatter monkey thing, which I find some people might find interesting. Hello, Mart. Do you know what? I always get there was a family friend of me, Mama's called Mart. I remember it used to always sound, when I'd say her name, Mart, because my mama was a Southern Irish woman, so she used to pronounce it Mart. And then you'd hear people in England go, Maud. And they always think I sound strange when I say Mart. But I picked that up from my mama. But apparently in England, it's Maud, isn't it? Are you Johnny Bravo? Are you The End Is Coming? Oh, thank you. Yeah, a very quick update, because I feel I'm going to keep my eye on this person, because I'm really, really not impressed by someone who's putting on an act like they've got mental health issues or learning difficulties of a 5-year-old, and that's what it is. They're making out that they've got the learning difficulties of a 5-year-old. Yesterday, what he did, of course, I'm talking about the Sparrow, Mickey Johnson doing all this, which is absolutely disgusting for an elderly man to be carrying on like that, because he is taking the pay out of people with serious. I mean, he's not trying to make out he's got mild learning difficulties. He's making out he's got serious learning difficulties for a 5-year-old. But the mask slips, and it slipped again yesterday. As I told you, I got really onto him over this fake Ann account, and I thought, why has he made that a mod? Why is he watching all these comments? Because I didn't know at first whether he was whether he did have learning difficulties or brain damage or whatever. I didn't know. But then it quickly came after watching him. I thought, this is an act, a total act, when he starts referring to himself all the time as the Sparrow. That's what you do when you're going into character, the Sparrow. And he'd suddenly drop it when he was talking about the 3D Fight Club and Team Scotland. You didn't get this. And he could go in depth. So I thought, that doesn't match this 5-year-old, this elderly man with the mental age of a 5-year-old, the way he goes on. Anyway, what he did yesterday was, of course, he's not too happy with me. Now, just think of it this way. If someone came to me, and this has happened in the past, and people have thought that I've said something about them or pulled them down or been nasty to them, the first thing I'd turn around and say is, what's put that in your head? What makes you think I've done that? I haven't done anything to you. Why are you saying that? Well, he hasn't done that, which I would have thought an empathetic, caring person with the mental age of a 5-year-old would be thinking, but I haven't done that. What are you saying? No, what he does, he goes right onto the offensive. He starts pulling up this Ann's clown college thing and starts telling people, and you suddenly see the mask has gone. Suddenly isn't this 5-year-old, this elderly man with the mental age of a 5-year-old, suddenly he's on the ball. And you say, now let's all follow and sub to Ann's Clown College. Come on, sub to it. I thought suddenly, could someone with the mental age of a toddler be so vindictive as to do that? I thought, no, they couldn't. So I thought and he's also proven the point what I said. He was encouraging and promoting the fake Ann account that cyberbullies me. What the hell I ever did to him, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I ever did to the man. But there we are, he's slipped up. And also, I'd just like to say, because one of his little fans will be watching this, or they'll see it, right? You know, when you're slagging off, saying that he refers to me as Mrs. Mop, that Mrs. Mop was a failed ballet dancer. No, I think you'll find I wasn't a failed ballet dancer. But also, you're saying that, and now what I'm doing is I'm cleaning and scrubbing the stages and all that. That's my job. I'm a stage cleaner, Mrs. Mop. Maybe you think that being a cleaner is something to be looked down upon, right? I don't. I'd be very proud, and I'd be the best cleaner going. And actually, I have cleaned stages, because when I came out of ballet and worked in theatres, dear, you've never been in or wouldn't get access to behind the scenes. Part of your duties was you had as part of the technical staff, you'd have to clean up. It was everyone, you'd take a turn in doing clean stage. So I've done that, I'd be proud. But I'd just say to Sparrow, you know, Becky dancing, ha 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 ha. I'll say something about that ha ha ha, this laugh he puts on as well. Just let me tell you this, when you're sitting on your backside, getting paid to sit on your backside by the state, by the government, guess whose money is going towards paying that? Those lowly cleaners that you think it's an insult to call someone a cleaner. Just remember that they're helping to pay for you to sit on your backside and put food in your belly and pay your rent. Just remember that, right, before you start sticking your nose up at them, cheek of us. But I just thought I'd get that out of the way. He's shown himself what he is again. Hiya, Paris, sweetheart. Hiya, Buffy Slays. Oh, I know you from somewhere. Don't know. You've been around for a while, haven't you? I haven't heard from you for ages. So. Oh, yeah, and the this a laugh again is another thing where you know this Sparrow is fake. Who the hell goes ha ha ha? H-A. Let me put that in writing for you. H-A, 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 H-A. Ha 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 ha. He's acting. There's nothing 5-year-old about him. And just look at someone like Billy Moore, and I want to mention Billy Moore's show. Billy Moore, and I can't remember his name. Billy Moore's Laces, the one he's had on today. It's absolutely riveting. If you get to watch it on Billy Moore's channel. And I can't remember the fella's name. Oh, God, does anyone know in the chat? Please, I've forgotten his name. Paris Barrington. Paris Barrington, you put your crack away, right? I don't know who you're flashing it up. You put your crack away. How dare you? Anyway, yeah, I mean, that's... Paris, I'm going to have to come down there and put you through the finishing school, and finishing school for ladies of quality and refinement. I really am. But anyway, yeah, Billy Moore's, please watch it. Young man is going on there about bullying his face, horrific bullying he's faced. And it's a fascinating watch, but I wish I could remember his name. I wish someone knew his name and could put it in the chat that he's interviewed. He's the one that goes on, you know, hello, skid mark. They use it, skid marks. They use a little clip from. But Billy Moore's brother, Joe, lovely man, absolutely lovely man, Joe Moore. Now, he has autism, and he's got Sid's autism, and he's got the mental capacity of a young child. Now, he couldn't sit there and suddenly come up with a devious plan to get someone to follow a troll account to get back at someone. It wouldn't even enter his head. So you see, all this is act, and I still say it, and I'll say it again, I find it bleeding creepy that an elderly man is finding it that he wants to act like a young child. And I'm talking about a very young child. It's creepy as hell. Thank you, Matthew. Just look going through here, then I'll go on about this the chattering monkey because I thought that was fascinating what Danny Christie put in there on the thing. I've never been a mod. Nikki, Sparrow. I won't say his full name, the Sparrow. My people, my people. It's a sick act. I twigged a while ago. It was a sick act, and after watching them and watching them, I thought this, and I find it very because let's put this way, right? I've also got autism. I've got high functioning autism. Now it doesn't affect my brain quality or capabilities. All that it does with me shows itself is in. So I have certain like routines, and that's how they twigged. I'll tell you how they twigged it with me that I did have high functioning autism. It was through sounds. I'd just absolutely get really to the point of being traumatized when I was younger with sounds, but I wasn't diagnosed when I was younger. Certain sounds would kick me off. And they've changed over time because one that used to really get to me, and good God, I hate it. Now it doesn't bother me at all, but it did for years, right up until my late 30s. It used to, I couldn't listen to it. I literally had to get out of the room or cover my ears and couldn't listen to it. No acoustic guitars. You know when they do that drag sound, you get that eek sound, and they love it. Acoustic plays when they're playing the acoustic guitar. Eek. That used to trigger me bad style. And looking back over the years, people used to always point out, they say sometimes your responses are really weird to different sounds. They're not normal. But no one, it wasn't a thing then. No one thought about high functioning autism or anything. And say it's like I have a 15-minute rule. If I'm told something's going to happen at, let's say, 7 o'clock, if it hasn't happened by 15 minutes, within 15 minutes past that time, I have to walk out because I get shitty. And everyone that's worked with me knows that. And my doctor knows that. Everyone knows that. I have to be seen within 15 minutes of that time span that I've been given, or I can't handle it for some reason and I can't control it. I get really like this. I don't kick off. I just get arsey and walk out. And they have to let me walk out because they come out after me. I just get worse. So that's how it is. So someone going on there acting as a 5-year-old when they clearly haven't got any mental health issues like that, really, I think it's disgusting. Yeah, it doesn't bother me now, Paris, that sound, that squeaking sound, but for ages, for years, I couldn't. And working in the theatre used to be a real problem. That squeak sound, I hated it. And certain sounds, I mean, I still have certain sounds now will trigger me off. They trigger me off straight away. And I've had real arguments with people over the most stupid, and I think, oh God, but I can't control it. It's just like an instinct, a primeval instinct in me. And I can get really upset by certain sounds. I mean, I've had situations where I've literally been ready to start banging on the table because I've got no power to stop the sound happening. And I can get really enraged by it. But people know around me, no, wait a minute, it's triggering us autism. But to talk to me or meet me, you wouldn't know. Well, I say this, but people have said to me that they can find that. You see, I won't see it myself all the time, but other people have said to me in my daily life, that I know, they say there are certain things they said that does show through, but I don't see it. To me, it's completely normal because I'm living in my own head. I'm living in my own body. It's normal. But they'll say they can see it in certain things that I do and certain things that I say. They'll say, we can see it in you. Paper glitter. My daughter has autism. She's fairly high functioning, and to most people, she has no patience. But it's not that. It's just how she's exactly. People say to me, people used to call me an obsessive. Another thing that used to cause real problems, especially when I worked in the probation service and in the police, if I was doing a job and concentrating on something and I was really into it, God help anyone that interrupted that, because I'd be ready to flip on them, and a few times I did. I'd get a warning at once. I'm doing this, but of course, in the police, they're all they can have this attitude. I am superior to you. I'm going to be. You'll do what I want, which I suppose is the thing. The that's right. They are like that. It's like an army in a way. You have your sergeants and all this. But I'd like then bite at them really bad style if they kept on. You can't drag me away from a job. When I'm doing the job, leave me to it. Don't drag me away, because it can get really, really bad tempered over there. And I'd be getting interrupted all the time, and I never did for the whole time. They never got used to it. Oh, the members of the public used to get it as well. But I got on with members of the public. They liked me. They used to have me fan club, because I'd bite at them, but they knew that if they got me, whether the answer I gave them was the answer they wanted or not, they'd get an answer. I'd always get an answer for them. And I'd say, look, I might not get you the answer you want to hear, but I'll get you the answer. So they used to like that fact. I wouldn't say, oh, well, we don't know, we'll get back to you, and all this business. Oh, that low-pitched noise. Oh, there was one horrible time, Matthew, and I really thought I was going insane. I did. It's the only time it happened to me. I started hearing, you know what they call it? An earworm, isn't it? And it sounded like singing. I couldn't understand what these things were singing, but and I thought, God, I took this as a sign for some reason that I was going to die. I thought, it's this angel singing to me or whatever it is. What is it that's singing? It's calling me over and all this. And it really did make me close to suicidal, hearing these things all the time. This earworm. And I'd be saying, no, I'm imagining this, I'm imagining it. But I could hear it. So when people talk about, that's good. I didn't actually plan to mention that. But when Danny Christie mentions this voice, I have experienced before then. I didn't experience it when people used to say, you get people with mental health issues or schizophrenia or anything, and they'd say, oh, I hear this voice. I'd always say to them, but they must know that's not real. They must know. But for that one brief moment, and thankfully it only lasted a month or so, which was seen forever at the time, I got to learn what it was. It's not just the voice. You become delusional about what you're in. Your whole mind. It's not just that you're hearing your voice. Your mind becomes delusional. So you can't work out whether this voice is real or not. So it's not just simply a voice you're hearing. It didn't tell me to do anything, but it was just, I was saying to my doctor, why am I hearing things singing when I go out and all this? And it was like to be high above me. And at the same time, I hated this. I thought, I'm going to walk under a bus someday or a car if I'm not careful. I'd be walking down the road and it was like someone else started looking out of my eyes and was looking at a dream world. So where I was a dream world. It somehow didn't look real. And I thought, someday I'm going to get confused and think that I'm in this dream world and I'm going to walk right under a bus. So I got paranoid about going out unless there was someone with me. And another one, I'd be walking, and thankfully this was rare, this one. And I'd suddenly feel like the ground beneath me wasn't solid. And I thought, what it was, my legs were ready to give way. That's what it was. But I was taking it that the ground wasn't solid and I was going to fall through it. Oh, it's weird. I mean, it was a horrible experience, but I'm glad I went through it because it let me experience then what people who do go through delusional mental health situations, I know what they're going through. I know now how they actually believe. They can't distinguish it from reality because I've been there. Well, that's tinnitus, isn't it? And I've got tinnitus in this ear bit in this one, but this ear. But the tinnitus with me, I didn't even know it's tinnitus. I have a constant feeling that my ear is full of water, which it isn't. Oh, I've had all kinds of tests, and someone said it's tinnitus. I said, "Oh, come on!" I said, "That's a sound." I said, "This isn't a sound." I said, "It feels like there's water in my ear all the time." I said, "That can be tinnitus." I said, "It doesn't have to be a sound you're hearing." So yeah, because God blimey, I'm getting old. Of course, my hearing's going to go all funny, and I have to get used to it. I have to get used to it, darlings. When you get older, things start closing down on you. Evening, Isaac. Oh, the after, that's the reverb, isn't it? Yeah, it's because that when you hear a voice calling you when there's a noise, it's a it's a form of anxiety. It's just it's your anxiety coming out. In other words, you're thinking that when you're doing that, someone wants you. That's the best way I can explain it. Oh, that's fine, Nikki. But you know what I want to go on about, as I say. So if I miss a few your comments, please forgive me. But going on about Danny, there's a thing called um now this is only for when you haven't got mental health issues. It's a normal voice you hear in your head. And you know it's the voice you're hearing in your head. That's not a separate entity or an evil entity or anything else. It's just an annoying voice that goes on in your head. And it's called what the Buddha's called a chattering monkey. And it goes on. That's the one that too fast, too old. Oh, this isn't right. Oh, people don't like you. When you walk in the room, people are laughing at you. And it goes on and goes on in the background. Well, it can really impinge on people's self-esteem and really get at their ego and eat away, eat away, eat away on it. Well, there's methods that people can get control of this one, and it's quite simple. It's like what I was talking about a while ago about the power of now, where when someone is feeling anxious to the point of being wanting to do something to themselves, focusing in and on the moment where you are now, the power of now is to say can actually, and not worrying about the past or trying to anticipate the future, can actually take that anxiety away from you. Well, what you do with the little chatter monkey's voice is, if you listen to home in on it, listen to it and listen to what it's saying. But it's you, it's yours, it's something in your brain that's saying it to yourself. And then what you do is you just imagine that it's a separate identity. It's not you. You make it into an identity, you give it an image, but you give it a comical image. You know, like a little teddy bear with a red nose on and a silly hat on. Anything that you find comical and funny, or a mouse with a high-pitched voice, you turn into that. You make the volume on the voice go up, which you can do. So it sounds all squeaky like this. So it starts making you laugh when you hear it. And it's very easy to do. It doesn't take much practice at all. And when you get to that position where you're treating it as a separate entity that isn't you, and it looks ridiculous, it looks silly, it's got a silly voice, you can't take it seriously anymore. And that literally gets control of the chatter monkey. And in time, it gets less and less and less and less because you're doing that. Now, that didn't take me long to explain or say how to do it, did I? Did it? And that's how easy it is. That's because it's so easy to get control of this chatter monkey. Yeah. But I say when someone's got mental health issues, it's more serious than a chattering monkey. So you've got to make the distinguish about it. But people think half the time, a lot of the time, that they've got mental health issues when they haven't. They clearly haven't. There seems to be a trend now that everything's put down to, oh, people think they've got mental health issues when it's just life happening around them and they're responding to it. It's like, oh, I'm upset. I don't feel happy. Yeah. So do billions of other people at times not feel happy? As long as it's not impinging on your life in a negative way and destroying your life and destroying your relationships and everything's falling apart, guess what? It's not. You haven't got mental health issues. You're just responding to life. Look, when someone passes away, a loved one, you're going to feel, you'd be strange if you didn't feel sorrow and grief. You wouldn't be a human being. Natural response. And this is what I used to hear in when I worked with probation with drug users on treatment and testing orders, was they needed their drugs. Because they were upset about something, they needed this, they needed that, they needed this to get over this thing that they were going through or problem they were going through. And it wasn't that they needed it. They were having a natural reaction to life, but they wanted to cover up with drugs. What really should happen is, until someone's diagnosed as being clinically depressed, they shouldn't be given any medication. But they hand out medication, doctors, like sweets for people that are going through what is having a natural reaction to a unpleasant situation. It's wrong. It's so wrong. They shouldn't be doing that, these doctors. And Sparrow fan there who likes to see people being trolled and hate speech coming out. And it was lovely. Who did the see? They know that thing that comes on here, Malta Witty, and I told it straight the last time. Strange how it's going. This Malta Witty, I don't know why it's on Sparrow's channel, because Sparrow's channel is full of the Wheezy fans. You know, Wheezy, the neo-Nazi one, that he's shown himself to be a neo-Nazi now. Full of them. Its channel is just full of them, right? Yeah, Malta Witty is a mod for Sean Atwood's channel. I can't work that out because they hate Sean Atwood with a vengeance. It's odd, but they haven't shown themselves and they're not welcome here anyway if they come on. Oh, thank you, Paris. No, sometimes people are genuine victims, Bobby. It's easy to say, oh, they're playing the victim, but I'm sorry, when someone can bring you the proof that they are being trolled, that's happening to me. I am being bloody trolled. You can't get away from it. I've got the proof there that it's happening. Not everyone, and it's not playing the victim. It's outing them and saying this is what they're doing. This is exactly what they're doing. But some people, what is mental health now? See, in the past, mental health, which was wrong, was a taboo subject and is an embarrassment. People wouldn't talk about it. But now people are encouraged to talk about it and all that. But what's happened is, and this is what happened with CSA, child, you know what I'm talking about, that type of abuse. It became that people who wanted attention and wanted sympathy, tea and sympathy, started claiming they were when they weren't. And people will do that. If they see someone else, genuine people with mental health issues, getting tea and sympathy, and if they see genuine survivors of, you know what I'm talking about, getting tea and sympathy, they'll actually start doing it themselves because they want tea and sympathy. People do it. And the minute you say it into them or anyone says it and to pull them on it, and it's like, oh, you're attacking me. I've got mental health issues. Or you're attacking me. I'm a survivor of this. Hello, Ashley. But anyway, so I've gone. I'm forgetting to put, if anyone wants to join me, because I'll be keeping this to an hour if no one wants to join. So yeah, put that through after Lord. Yeah, so that chat, I'm glad Danny Christie did that, because I think it was fascinating to talk about. Very interesting to talk about. And I'll say again, please watch Billy Moore's latest podcast. It's fascinating, and it goes on about bullying and trolling as well. It's really, really interesting. Yeah, exactly, Matthew. Well, with Matthew gone. Oh, well, this is it. There's genuine people, but some people you can tell. Paper glitter, can't you tell? Can't you tell when someone is pulling it? That's how I can tell that this Sparrow fella is a fake. I can tell. You just know, don't you? Hey, well, that's it, Matthew. This one one's it. But then the fake ones mess it all up for the real people who do suffer. Now, this is more applicable, I'd say, to CSA survivors. You know, children who were people who were when they were children, because so many frauds are out there claiming us. It brings the genuine ones into doubt. And that's why when people hear me going on about people like Janessa Archer with her SRA and aliens from outer bleak or whatever they are, being Satanists and all this, and John Wedger, why I get so wound up about it, because it's things like that that actually give the public the excuse. It's terribly difficult. Any survivor, and I'm not, thank God, I never suffered any abuse as a child, but survivors will tell you when you get these people coming out with these nutcase, which it is, conspiracy things that go wild, just got to go wild. The public, it's difficult enough to get the public to listen at all. It's virtually impossible. It's only small groups listen and want to know. Well, that gives them an excuse when they hear these false, what are exposed as being false claims or outlandish claims. It gives them the excuse to turn around and not listen and label everyone else as being cranks. And that's why I always say I have never ever once said that there's no such thing as SRA, satanic ritual abuse. I've never said it. I'm in no doubt somewhere it's going on. It will be. But to start saying that's happening on every street corner and start saying that it's lizards doing it, you know, come on. Who's going to believe? And I believe John Wedge actually is abandoned Jeanette Archer because of that now, because she's coming out with this lizard stuff. But again, as I say, he's coming out with this exorcism stuff, which I think is people being possessed by demons, which I think is just as bizarre. Oh, sorry. Here, let me get me. Bobby, just let me. I'll get you now. Just let's get this off here. Thank God you told me because it was too interesting.
Hello.
Hello, big bows.
I see you're talking about satanic ritual abuse and stuff.
Yeah.
You should watch Danny Jones. He'll be doing
I know Danny Jones
soon about Chrissy Morris.
Oh, I know about Danny Jones. I was watching the other day about Chrissy Morris. That's the fella off the television. Well, used to be on the television, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff coming out about him you'll be shocked by. But another one, you know Brian Hurrell, don't you?
Yeah.
Nutcase.
Certainly do.
He's running about threatening to chop kids' fingers off, saying, have you ever seen screwdrivers getting shoved in people's eye sockets, slitting their throats, raping babies and shit? That's all the circle from Brian Harvey to Councillor Morris. And I won't mention his little sidekick Esau with distributing child images. But that's the level of people that are online hanging about with Brian Harvey.
Oh, I know. The thing, what I get about him is, I mean, hell, I think most people have heard about him. He's infamous, isn't he? And I mean, you've had issues with him, haven't you, Paris, as well? I keep well away from him. He tried to get me involved in the Brian Harvey thing, but he didn't realize at that point that I am anything but a fan of Brian Harvey's, and he didn't know. So he came to me giving me all this information, and so I chased him. I said to him straight, get away. But I knew what he used to do to people, and how he'd really go after them. So all that I said to him, I said, you do know that I'll have your feet won't touch the ground. You'll be in a cell if you start any of your nonsense with me, because he can go after people, can't he? But I just ignored him, and he's kept away from me. So I just completely ignore him. And I think it's the best thing to do with him is totally ignore him. But I have seen, I'm aware of what goes on. I'm aware of what Danny Jones does. I've seen this work, Danny Jones. Danny Jones isn't a fan of mine, but again, that doesn't mean that Danny Jones doesn't come out with some very interesting work, which he does, which I think is interesting. Well, so agree with you there.
Well, you might, when this premiere comes out, you should watch it because there's some good stuff in it.
Well, I couldn't work out I couldn't work out how Chrissy Morris would get involved with someone like her. I couldn't work it out at all. I thought, wouldn't he have the sense to think, because he had a TV career and everything, didn't he? And he's a counsellor now. Or is he still a counsellor? Is he giving it up or what he's done?
He's a counsellor, right? But that'll be taken off him.
I'd imagine so.
But the stuff that I've been hearing about him in the background that's not been talked about yet is very sick and disturbing.
Oh, I can imagine it. I say I don't look towards him because I think it's one of those things he feeds on being noticed, being listened to. He's so over the top, so beyond what acceptable. And he loves the reaction he gets back. He loves all this that he's caused all this mayhem. So I know it wasn't the Wasp has to go now and again. But in my mind, by entertaining him, that's it. Where if everyone just ignored him and said he doesn't exist, which I do. I don't actually take him on board at all. I don't even go looking for what he's saying or anything because that's what he wants.
Well, he's running about saying he's this big people's hero, but he's actually done nothing to help anybody.
Oh no, he hasn't. I know that, and he's he's causing trouble for a couple of people I know. But as I say, he only causes trouble if the person allows him to cause trouble. I've said ignore him altogether, and you'll be okay. That's the way I see it. But what's your view on Janessa Archer and all this nonsense?
I don't watch them.
I watch it now and again just to keep an update on it. Just seeing this.
I used to just watch Brian Harvey to laugh at him.
Well, he's gone quiet on me, but if he kicks off again, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. So he can, as long as he stays in this little corner and doesn't start bothering me, that's all right. It's fine. Trying to dox me and all this rubbish he comes out with. But he can stay there.
Well, he's lost all his audience since he got booted off YouTube.
Oh, he's still on here, isn't he? He's got about
comes 5. On, but he's only gets usually only get about, if he's lucky, 200 people watching him.
Oh yeah, but he he just needs to. Well, do you know what I'd like to say? But it's that difficult to turn around for me and what I've been through with him, and say, oh, my body needs to do this and do that, and I hope that he gets himself sorted. When someone crosses the line, you think I couldn't give a damn whether he gets sorted or goes downhill or what happens to him. That's his issue. Let him get on with himself. That's the way I am. Where other people that you don't like, you can say, well, I hope they get help, I don't know why I clicked on that, Paris. I'm sorry. You're having a little...
It was Brian Harvey that brought in Shane Gibbs. Then he brought in Hurl.
I remember they were best mates, weren't they?
Hurl was taking them drugs down.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't got a clue what was going on there. But I don't know much about Hale. I don't engage with him at all.
He's an Essex bullshitter.
Oh, no, he did.
I'm awful. See you later.
Okay, nice speaking to you. Bye-bye now. Little conversations going on. If anyone else wants to jump on, please do. Talk about anything. Oh, you're all right, Mark. Better late than never. I mean, I'll put you into detention next time. The wonderful Anne. Oh, what's happened? Do you know, that makes me heart stop this thing. Just suddenly I vanished off the screen. So my beauty has vanished from my audience. Now, if I put that through, I have, haven't I? Oh, yeah. Agree with you that 100%, Tom. I know he is. And it's the way people will believe anything that they see out there. It's like, wait a minute, put two and two together, and you can see it's all nonsense what he's coming out with. See, it's the fact of, yeah, things are happening, but it's the way he puts it together. Vladimir. Oh God, you just know it's just going ridiculous with all this. But why are people sitting back, other countries sitting back and I can't work it out. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline. But yeah, I don't know why the world's sitting back. It does this. What the hell is the point of the United Nations, for God's sake? Do you know what? Do you remember that film? What was it? That Team America, was it? And they were going on about, the United Nations at one point. And they said, we're going to write you a strongly worded letter. And that's true. I mean, what's the point in it? I mean, it has done a lot of good in keeping peace, but when actually they really need it. Oh, we were evangelicals too insist abused have demons. Exactly. The trauma I suffered at the hands of these people saying exactly had devils because of child abuse set me back years and re-traumatized. Exactly, TG. When people start going on, that's why I got shady with Paul Venice when he said, and I like Paul Venice. Let's put this. I do like Paul Venice. I think he's a nice fella. He said about demonic possession was real. He'd seen it. No, it's mental health issues, and it's easy to label people with mental health issues being demonically possessed. That is not a good thing. That's never a good thing. We've moved away from those days. Moved well. And I remember, I've mentioned this before, I'll mention them again, the priests we used to have at school. Very stern priest, very stern man. And he was no nonsense, but he used to say things that really, how he was allowed to continue being a priest, I don't know, because he had his own views on things. Like, he didn't believe Adam and Eve were actual people. He said it was mankind and womankind, a representation of that. He said the original sin wasn't to have sexual intercourse. He said, why were humans born with the equipment to do it? He said they were supposed to populate the earth. But he used to turn around and talk about this, no demonic possession. He's got nonsense. He'd say, we know about mental health issues now. And he said, when Jesus in the Bible went round and was supposed to be curing people of devils, he said it's because in those days, if Jesus turned around and said, oh, you have mental health issues, but he said something, and I can't remember it all. If there's anyone that knows the Bible there, and Jesus said something at one point when he was ridden someone of devils, and it sort of indicates, I'm sure he said, but I can't remember. Don't quote me on this, but there's something in there where it makes it sound like he said at one point, well, if I say this, it will cure them. Then if he said something else, something like that. So he was saying demons because that's all they understood then. If he'd said, "Oh, you've got mental health issues," they wouldn't have known what he was going on about. So it was easy to say, "Oh, you're cured of your illnesses or whatever," and it was just a form of healing. Let's put it this way: faith healing that he was doing, which is completely different from someone being. But I must admit, the thing about the Legion, isn't it, where he cast them out into the swine, who went and threw himself over the mountain, wasn't it? That seems to look like very much like he was saying that there was demonic possession. Oh, thank you, Sammy. My Scouse accent mixed with Southern Irish because my mama, for some reason, I picked her up off my mama and never lost her. Miss So, what are you going on about bananas for? You're going bananas yourself. But yet, so I agree with you, T. It's a very dangerous thing to go into, and it does cause. I mean, and we see what happens in other parts of the world where you've got children being accused of being witches and all this. How disgusting, and literally being abused and their life in danger because, oh God, I can't get it. It's 2022 and people are still going on like we're in the Middle Ages. I think what is YouTube. I've noticed quite a number of YouTubers are starting to lose the plot. Do you know what I think it is? It's the nature of what YouTube is, because it's just a maelstrom of, oh, I can't explain it. It's just it's, you say, it can be positive, it can be very, very negative at the same time. See, if people had to be, they couldn't be anonymous, then things would start getting better, because they'd be careful of what they're saying. It's like sending an email to someone. It's easier to send an email and say something nasty to someone than say it face to face them. Let's see. So what else to talk about? Do you know what? I'll come on here and have loads to talk about, and then indeed, Dan, I do still believe, but I'm dismayed by the lack of love. This deliverance obsession. Oh, deliverance. And it's the people that are doing this deliverance that anything but godly people, are they? I mean, all that I can say is God must be really hard up and struggling to find people. But you know what? That's a funny thing. I remember this is where you have to be careful with the Bible, because it's been translated so many times, and our version of it is translated from the wasn't it? It was originally Greek, then it was translated into Latin, then it was translated into English. So any mistakes that were made in the translation came through to us. But if you go back to the Torah or Torah, however you want to pronounce it, and you go to the original source of the Old Testament anyway, it throws up some interesting facts. And one of them is Noah, who in our version of the Bible is a great holy man. Literally, God says in it, he was the best of a bad bunch. If there'd have been someone better than Noah, God would have picked them, but he was the best out of a really bad bunch. But that's actually what it more or less says in there. He was the world, according to the Jewish faith, the world was that bad, and people had sunk that low before the days of the flood, that Noah was literally just one step better than these bad people. It's fascinating when you read things like that. And this thing is another thing as well. Satan. If you actually go back to the source, the Hebrew source, it doesn't talk about a Satan. It talks about Satans. And they say that these Satans were actually angels who were sent to test people to get in your way. they test you to see if they could how faithful you were, how you'd react to a situation. And that comes out also in the book of Job, the very curious one that doesn't quite fit in with Christianity's view of God and all that, because in the book of Job, it looks very like, and you can't get away from it, that God and Satan are working together. But it's explained away by the fact that in the original Torah, or Torah, I never know which one people want me to pronounce it like, that Satan was just one of many, many angels that God sent down to test people. Are you? Is that to me, Sammy? Are you heavily religious? No, I'm not. I at the time. I at the view. I'll find out when I get over there. And I have this. I have a feeling, or since a child, because of a memories I had as a child. Oh, nothing dramatic. Well, it was dramatic actually when I think of it. As a very small child, I've always believed in reincarnation, and I always had a sense, even though I was brought up as a Catholic, no, I've been here before. And I remember being shocked before I even knew what the word reincarnation was. I was shocked that not everyone had the sense that they'd been here before. I won't go into details, it would take too long, but I had what you could call a vision when I was about 4 years old, and certain things happened which convinced me that I had lived another life. Now, that's what I believe, but would I say to you, right, I'll bet £1 billion. Oh, God, if I had £1 billion, wouldn't that be lovely? But say that I had £1 billion, I'll bet £1 billion that I'm right. Definitely 100. I can't be wrong. No, wouldn't. I don't know. No one knows. No one knows until you get over to the other side if there is an other side or not. And if there isn't, guess what? No worries, because you won't exist to worry about it, will you? So that's the way I look at it. But you hedge your bets. There's a special word for it, isn't it? This hedging your bets. When there's two roads to take or two decisions to make, which way to go, right or left, you take the middle road so that you're playing it safe, so that if you get one wrong, you're okay. Forget what that's called. It's got a special name. Oh, thank you, Derek. Oh, digital. Oh, no. Do you know what? I'm telling you, we've got mobile phones. They're CCTV. I've said this before when people go on about mobile phones being wonderful creations. Yet they are. But then they'll moan about CCTV everywhere. We can't do anything but we'll watch Big Brother Society. Your phone is tracking you. How many times you've been out and you hear someone, hello, where are you? Oh, I'm only 5 minutes away. Then 2 minutes later, hello, where are you now? Oh, I'm only 5 minutes. Don't worry about the CCTV. You've got a beacon on you that your family and friends can watch all the time. Or I couldn't be bothered with any of that. No, I'm not a Christian, Nikki. I just know about the Bible because I studied it. I went into studying the Bible and the history of how it came about, because it's fascinating to read about how it evolved. People think that the Bible just appeared. It didn't. And there's massive clues inside it that translation errors have been made, things have been missed out. Look, theologians, Christian theologians themselves know this and try to explain it. Like, simple, let's talk about one of the most obvious ones that shows that there's been mistranslations, and you can't take it in English as word for word or Greek or anything. You have to go back to the Hebrew source to get an idea what's going on or what was said. Is when it says Moses suddenly had a pair of horns grown out of his head when he came down off Mount Sinai. Now, well, it doesn't say out of his head. He said he came down out of Mount Sinai with a pair of horns. Now, you'll see, if you go to the Vatican, you'll see, I think it's Michelangelo did it, and it's a statue of Moses, and he's got horns sticking out of his head. And if you go into medieval paintings and things, a lot of time you see him with horns coming out of his head. And people actually took it literally at home. He came down, magically a pair of horns were growing out of his head. No, when you go back to the original Hebrew, the word it uses means actually glow, like an aura. In other words, he came down shining with an aura. But when it was translated into Greek, I think it was, the word for aura in Hebrew sounded very like horns. That's why, so you have to be careful. And also, we know Jesus wasn't a carpenter. He was more a stonemason, though that's on iffy ground, but he would have been more of a stonemason. Because carpenters were very wealthy back then. Because they built your whole house. So I studied it. And when you go back to that and you go back and you suddenly find that in Hebrew, you suddenly learn that there wasn't one God originally, that it evolved, that Yahweh, if you want to call him that, or Jehovah, was actually one of several gods. And how you know that is at the beginning of the Bible, which you'll see in the English one, where he challenges, when God challenges Adam and Eve, or Adam, he turns around and says, doesn't he, they can now see themselves as we see them. We. That puts a big, and he's called in the Hebrew, I think if I remember the right name, Elohim. Elohim means gods. El is God. Elohim is God. If I'm getting that right, it's not a mistake you can make. It's not a case of like in English, you can accidentally put an S on the end of gods and make it plural, God, and make it plural. To go from El to Elohim is a definite indication that there were more than one God. But Jehovah in the Jewish faith or Hebrew faith became the penultimate rule and one that they chose. So it's fascinating. Then you go back. It doesn't take far to go back and you suddenly think, a lot of this looks very Egyptian in origin. And you find out about Akhenaten, the heretical pharaoh. And people have tried to link him to Moses because certain things he did seem to be very like what Moses did. So I could go on about more and more, but that's why I started reading. That's why I thought, well, this is just something that's evolved over time. And religion, really, a lot of times, is just used to keep the masses under control. That's what it is. Because usually it's like there's a higher order, isn't there? So it's like the masters. You have your bosses and your masters. And don't forget the Queen officially. The Queen in England officially is still the representative of God according to the Church of England. She's still put there by God, and that's it. So that are you going to argue against your superiors who've been put there by God? I'll have to go on about this next time in some other one when I do another one. Do you know I haven't even put this through? Do you know I'm an idiot? I knew I haven't. I mean, I wouldn't call someone for having the faith because if it gets them comfort, but where it goes awry is when they start dictating to others or wanting to control other people's lives. That's when it gets dangerous. Well, what is free will? You mean autonomy? Well, of course, people have autonomy. You can't not have it, can you? It's like asking me, do I believe in breathing? No, I'd love to go to Egypt. I never have. I know people that have, but I've never been. And I'd be fascinated by it. It looks absolutely stunning, but it can be dangerous now, can't it? You never know when it's going to kick off there. Yeah, religion is literally there so your superiors can keep you in check. And if you look at history, they can get away with doing all kinds of evil, horrible, horrendous things, and they're never held to account. But yeah, the peasants were always held to account and threatened with hellfire. Well, that's as long as you're not harming others or forcing me to believe, then I don't mind. Well, exactly, that's it. That's it. And the vast majority of religious people don't. They get on with the religion and accept that people might not believe it. They don't try to force, but you get the odd ones, don't you, who try to insist. And that's where we have to be careful, very, very careful of certain religions that do want to force people to believe, to do what they want. And you have to be, but you can't say that out loud, can you? I don't know what you're going on about. What's this? Free will goes against physics. I can't get that. What does that mean? Never read that before. Now, Matthew, I'm a Catholic and I do not go to church, but I 100% have faith. I carry rosary beads, chain. You've got to go to church, Matthew. If you're a Catholic, I was brought up a Catholic. You have to go to church. You've got to go to confession. That's the faith you're in. You've got to go to confession. You've got to go to mass. That's what a Catholic has to do. You've got no choice in it. You've got to. It's not Catholicism is not it's not like the Quakers where it's a personal relationship or a personal way of worship like the Quakers believe in. It's very much it's a religion that's dictated to you. You must do this. You must be baptized. You must be confirmed. You must go to mass. You must take the sacrament. You've got to take the sacrament. And before you take the sacrament, you've got to go to confession. It's not a question of you can stay away from church. If you're a Catholic, that's what you've got to do. I'm just reading something. Just gives a second. Luke. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a night because I'm running low on me YouTube, on me not YouTube, on me StreamYard time as well. They only give you 20 hours a month, and it said I was running low on it this month. Unless someone wants to very quickly come in, I don't like kicking people out like that. I really don't like kicking people out like that. But when you start naming names, don't use my channel to start saying things that could be slanderous because I'm not having it. And let me stress again, I do not see Reese as being my enemy. I just see him as being someone that I'd rather not mix with. So what I'm going to do, my lovelies, I'm going to wind it up here because no one's jumping on. So what I'll do is I'll leave Paris to practice a guitar. Oh, I know, because that's why I kicked him out. I could see what he was doing. He was getting ready to come out with a list of names and start talking things. But so I'm not going to have that's the quickest way to get kicked out, which I don't know why people do because it's stopping them getting whatever they want to say out there. Say someone wants to say that they don't agree with this, they don't agree with that, fine. But don't dress it up that you're a campaigner against child abuse when all it is that you're really a bigot. I've been called a bigot. Yeah, that's because you are. Oh, thanks, Paris. As always. I mean, as I say, thank you for all joining in. And I'll see you again. When will be on again? I can't be on Friday because I'm going to be listening to Heather Turner's podcast Friday. Please give Billy Moore's latest view, his latest interview. Fascinating to watch. I really, really enjoyed it. I hope Danny Christie gets the help he needs, and hopefully it won't be news that he doesn't want to hear. And until next time, he loves and just say good night. Say good night, TG. Good night, Missy Moon. Good night, Derek. Good night, Isaac. Good night, Pat. Oh, say good night. See, you get 2 good nights. You're spoilt. Good night, Miss Crawford. Oh, Miss Crawford, I'll have to. Did you get me message to reply to what you put on my channel? If you ever want to talk about that, we will do. Yeah, Billy Moore is very, very good. He interviewed me, you know. Oh, yes. I was one of the first, but Sean got it blocked. But yes, I was the first. Oh, yes. It was. He had to have a bit of glamour on there. He had to have glamour on there. Night, Squat Master. Night, Mark. Night, Mard. Night, Crystal Alice. So anyway, darlings, bye-bye for now until next time. I'm thinking when I'll be on. It might be Saturday or Sunday on again. Till then, night, me sweeties.